This is Randall Winter. Welcome to Home 411 Show, your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS. And again, we're having Donna Softly speaking to us about home energy and actually measuring the energy efficiency and efficacy of the home. So I'm going to turn it back to you. We were talking about windows, and I know there's more to it than windows, but what other things besides windows? We can get back to that when you're measuring the house efficiency.
We look at the entire building envelope. What we're looking for, we go up into the attic. We look underneath the insulation. We look at the type, quality of insulation, and how well it's installed. We're looking for areas where you may have leakage. We look for the standard things like moisture damage or pests and that sort of thing too. We keep an eye open for all those things. But what we're really looking for are areas where your home is losing energy. For example, in a home here in Santa Clarita, I went into the attic to discover that they had recessed light fixtures that were not airtight insulation contact rated. Somebody had saved some money by putting in a poor quality fixture.
But they weren't required.
They weren't required, no. However,
it was recent.
Yes, as a result of this, each bay in the attic or chase where the light fixtures were, and there were 43 of them in the home, did not have insulation around it. So I could literally see through the fixture into the house space. Now, if I can see it and you can poke something through it, you can be sure the air is leaking through there. So, and when I put the home under positive pressure and went out, and we like to have a temperature differential when we're doing that. We call it the delta T, between inside and outside. We'd like to have about a 20-degree spread. So we're doing this, and I photographed it using infrared thermography. You could see that each and every area where those recessed lights were significantly higher in temperature. It was a warm day, so we had hotter temperatures outside, cooler temperatures inside. So you can lose a third of your energy, your conditioned air, the actual heating or cooling.
Right through your lights.
Right through that, but also through the walls where there's insufficient insulation. So newer homes are required to have higher degrees of insulation, but they're not always installed correctly. In order for insulation to work properly, it has to make contact, 100% contact, the entire surface. There can't be any gaps whatsoever, or the air and the temperature has the opportunity to move through. So you don't see real quality installations, say that 10 times, very often. When home inspectors come, say you have the building inspector out, they'll look and say, oh yes, there's insulation there, and they check the box. But they're really not looking at the quality of that installation. Older homes, you go back, homes in California, we have the toughest energy codes in the country and some of the worst performing homes because of our temperate climate in Southern California. They didn't even put insulation and walls in many older homes, and people may have a couple of inches of insulation up that was poorly thrown in there. I often go in and find that workmen have moved insulation out of the way to do their tasks.
And they don't put it back.
Or if it is put in there, it's kind of shoved in and it's not making the correct contact. And these are all areas where you can be losing energy. So these are the types of things that we look for, in addition to the standard things like your plug loads and lighting loads and that sort of thing.
So there's a lot of leakage going on in the lights, and I know your husband, Jeff, is one of the sponsors here on KHTS, AM 1220. He does electrical in town, and he actually has been working with me and doing a great job. I know when I buy lights, and I expect him to buy the same kind, they have a rating on it, and one of the ratings is that it's airtight, and the other is that you're allowed to put insulation against it.
Precisely.
So for you homeowners listening out there, I'm just kind of breaking it down a little bit for you, for Donna, because what she's saying is a little scientific. I understand it. I'm sure a lot of you do, but just in case you don't, the lights that are recessed need to have like little stickers on them that actually keep the air inside. They're little rubber
Gaskets.
that keep the air in, and when they're put in, the insulation needs to be wrapped tightly. They have to be approved for that insulation to be against it, otherwise it's a potential fire hazard. So those are things that, that's just one area of what you do, but it also relates to what your husband does, because it's electrical, and what we do when we do remodeling. So
Absolutely.
kind of a little micro introduction to electrical lighting that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Okay, so more about the air. You said something about plugs. Now, that's electrical too, but I know when we did some sound studios, we had to put special insulation in for sound. Probably the same thing?
Exactly. When we go along, we see a lot of things with the infrared camera that you can't see with the naked eye.
You see that outside? Is that where you shoot it from, or you shoot from the inside?
Generally shoot it inside. Like I said, we like to have about a 20-degree minimum temperature differential between inside and outside. And the infrared images show us where you have energy transfer. If we
So
think
heat's coming in then.
Right. Well, heat goes to cold. People always think, well, heat goes up. Well, it does go up, but it will go to cold no matter what direction it's in.
Okay.
So if it's hot outside and cool inside, the heat is trying to make its way in. If you're in the winter and you have warm air inside and it's cold outside, that heat is doing everything in its power to get out.
Okay, so that's why I was wondering whether the outlets, if the heat was coming in. It depends whether it's hotter or cold outside as compared to inside. Okay, we're going for another quick break. Again, this is your Home 411 show, sponsored by Softly Electric and Marty's Flooring, and these are the guests that are here today. Hometown Station, AM 1220, KHTS. Thank you.